Cases of anti-Semitism and hate crimes in the United States has surged in recent years, especially since the start of the Israel-Hamas war in October of 2023. Last year, the Anti-Defamation League tracked nearly 10,000 incidents of anti-Semitic harassment, vandalism, and assault in our country. That is an increase over last year, which had been the highest number of incidents since the ADL began keeping track, and that was back in 1979. Joining us now to talk more about this disturbing trend is Ron Halber, CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington. Great to have you join me today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
So, based on data trends in the Israel-Hamas war the main driver, you believe, for an increase in hate-based crimes against Jewish Americans?
Well, first of all, we need to know that there's been an increase in hate crime against many different Americans of different backgrounds. It's been an upward trajectory since COVID and beyond. But there's no doubt in my mind that the current war in the Middle East has accelerated hatred and bias against Jews in the United States as well.
And what do you see as other drivers? You mentioned COVID. What else is sparking this, and what are some of the solutions?
Well, obviously American society has become politically polarized, and social media is amplifying hate. Now everybody who's got a bigoted word to say has a platform. And there's a couple things we can do about it. Number one is, first of all, we've got to get Congress to move off of its duff and to approve $1 billion, which is basically doubling the size of the National Security Grant Program, so they can make dollars available to any group that feels threatened. They need to add additional money for operating costs so that we can hire armed security guards both inside and to expand the perimeter around our facilities. They need to hire more FBI analysts to track social media so they can interact and interrupt people before events happen. And they need to provide more money so that police departments, which are down in their numbers of officers across the country, can hire. And this has to be a total consummate effort. And I would say on the non-financial side, we need to stop seeing the politicization of anti-Semitism. There's anti-Semitism on the right, there's anti-Semitism on the left. Congratulations to both sides. And there's bigotry on both sides. And I'm tired of arguing which side is worse than the other. It doesn't matter. It's got to be condemned by both. Elected officials, community leaders, clergy, labor, business parties all have to speak up unequivocally against anti-Semitism. And here's where the trick gets in. They also have to speak up against anti-Israelism when it rears its ugly head. Let me give you two examples. When someone uses the word Zionist as a pejorative term, you're anti-Semitic. Own it. Why? Because you're saying Jews don't have a right to self-determination. And if you believe Jews don't have a right to an independent state, exclusively, you're anti-Semitic. Number two, if you're saying Israel's guilty of genocide, you're anti-Semitic. There absolutely hasn't been no genocide. It's fair to criticize Israeli policy. When you start getting into terms like genocide and ethnic cleansing, it's an effort to demonize the Jewish state.
Let's shift now to college campuses. They have also seen a significant rise in anti-Semitic incidents. And I've heard criticism, especially this week, that those institutions haven't done enough to stop it. And that's contributing to the current climate that we're in. Is that your position? Do you believe there's a direct correlation there?
Yeah, well, I think campuses are just one of the outlets of anti-Semitism. Last year, America's universities and college, not everyone, but many of them failed the Jewish people of this country. And they actually failed their own values, and they failed the American people. The idea that these ongoing encampments could go on day after day, and where Jewish students on campus would feel socially ostracized or concerned about their safety, actually have attacks against them or be vandalized, and this went on for a year, is disgusting. And I invite people to entertain the suggestion that if it was a different minority group, pick one that you want, would it have been allowed to go on this long? And would the United States government have moved quicker? I mean, have universities and colleges have moved quicker? And that's what's creating the backlash. That's why the president has a lot of fertile ground in the political spectrum when he goes after universities and their funding. Now, we can agree or disagree about whether that's the right method, but part of the reason why more people are not speaking out against it in general is because people are aggrieved and they're angry. And whether, you support the method or not, there's a lot of parents out there who are just furious that they're spending $80,000 a year to send their kids to school. And last year they had to go ahead and deal with this garbage. And frankly, these universities need to understand they need to have ideological diversity. And there's points where free speech becomes hate speech. And again, I gave you 2 or 3 examples before. And universities need to, especially the faculty, when they start getting involved in supporting the students promulgating this nonsense, it's really a dangerous atmosphere. We found out that at a local university, teaching assistants were giving extra credit to their students to go to political rallies. Every one of those TAs should be fired immediately.
Well, Ron Halber, I know this will be a topic that we continue to cover. We thank you for sharing your perspective with us today, CEO of the Jewish Community Relations Council of Greater Washington. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Have a good day.